Hi everyone, my guest today is Chad Peters from Ridgeline Minerals, and I'm very delighted that he had time for us. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me.
And especially because I would like to start with this one. Don't skip this part. I don't know if it's sharp.
No, it's showing good.
I will show pictures of it, but this is a rock sample you sent me.
Yeah.
And it's very beautiful.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
It's amazing. I show pictures that are sharp, but can you explain us what this is?
Yeah. So you and I met at the Rick Rule conference in the summertime there, and I was actually showing kind of the other half of that rock sample as one of our rock samples for our Big Blue project, which is our 100% owned copper porphyry exploration project. Definitely our flagship exploration play. That's 100% owned, and that's a chunk of rock from the Delker mine, which is the high grade past producing mine that was mined in the early 1900s. And they produced about 94,000 pounds of copper at about 6%. That is a high grade chunk of that. I'd say that chunk is probably running closer to 15 to 20%. But the representative grade of that mine was 6% back when it was operating.
Yeah, and I can see what I know, malachite and chalcocite, right?
Yep. Yep.
So this bluish greenish stuff is definitely copper, maybe copper oxide. Am I
Yes,
correct?
copper oxides. Yeah, there's some azurite mixed in there as well, but it really is kind of a trash can of copper oxides. Yep.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So Big Blue project. Okay. And while we are at the subject, you are an exploration company. What are the flagship projects?
Yeah, so actually, I might share my screen here just to
Oh
help
yeah, yeah,
emphasize
that's a good idea.
emphasize the main points of what we're going for.
Okay.
Just let me pull it up. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can now. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to show you our Nevada overview here. This is all of our projects in Nevada. And we have a really good mix of actually partner funded and 100% owned exploration projects. We focus on gold, copper, silver, and other base metals in Nevada specifically. And as you can see in this image here, we have our partner projects show the company logo. So Nevada Gold Mines is partnered with us at Swift and our Black Ridge project. And Selena down in the bottom right of the screen, that is a CRD project that is a partnership with South 32. So those are a mix of different commodities, all partnered off high dollar joint ventures with major partners. And then we also have our own 100% owned projects like Big Blue, which we just showed that great example of. And that is more of a copper porphyry, pure copper porphyry exploration place. So we have a really good mix of partner funded exploration, which means that there's constantly money being spent non-dilutive by our partners to advance these projects. And then we also have our own projects we move forward and hoping to make big discovery.
Okay, okay. That's great. And it's Nevada. So it's USA. It's very important now, the
Yeah,
critical
great
metals.
jurisdiction. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. And the one of the first things I look is the team. Could you
Mhm.
please expand on
Yeah,
the team and your experience?
absolutely. So, I myself, I'm actually a geologist, which is kind of you see that a bit of a unique thing for a CEO in the junior space. A lot of times it's more engineers and accountants and lawyers and stuff. So, I myself have spent a lot of time in Nevada, almost 13 years now. I was actually the chief geologist for Premier Gold Mines, which is now morphed into I-80 Gold. Which is a developer in Nevada, was I think the third largest resource base in Nevada. Um, was lucky to be a part of a lot of discovery in Canada and the US, over 10 million ounces of gold, and started the company in 2018 to focus on early stage exploration in Nevada. My vice president of exploration, Mike Harp, brilliant geo, led the discovery of the North Dark Star deposit for Gold Standard Ventures. He's been over 13 years in Nevada as well. So we also have a great technical team that reports to Mike. All Nevada focused, great, hungry young geos. Dwayne Lowe, my CFO, he's actually currently also the CFO of Entree Resources, which is about a 400 million market cap copper company focused on the Oyu Tolgoi deposit. They own a portion of Oyu Tolgoi, the licenses, so they're partners with Rio Tinto on that. So great young team, really focused on making new discoveries in Nevada. Lots of discovery experience ourselves, and we've added in the partnerships. I think that really round out the team here. So it's been a good fit for us.
Yeah, that would be, thank you. That would be my next question. Who are your partners and
Yeah, absolutely.
shareholders?
Yeah.
Because
So
that tells something that gives also me or the investors, the viewers, confidence that these people are trusting you.
yeah, I think that's a really great point, actually, Peter, because there's very few, like our market cap's around, I think, 15, $16 million right now. There are probably, you can probably count it on one hand, junior explorers with a market cap like us that have partners of the size and scale that we do. So our partners include Nevada Gold Mines on two of
Mhm.
our projects, which is actually a joint venture between Newmont and Barrick Gold, with Barrick Gold being the operator.
Insignificant
Yeah, exactly.
players.
Yeah. And then our
Okay.
Selena project is our partners are South 32, which is a spin out, about 10 years ago out of BHP. So again, these are all multi-billion dollar companies. They are the largest exploration or, producers in their respective spaces. So between Newmont and Barrick, they control a large portion of global gold production. They're all of that, call it institutional knowledge and experience that both of those companies bring to the table. They then bring that to the table in our partnerships as well, right? So our projects, you could say they've been validated by these partners. It shows the potential and the discovery potential of these various assets. And I think it's a really great way to advance our projects while at the same time generating 100% owned opportunities that Ridgeline owns as well. So that's call it our corporate partners, if you want to call it. They actually don't,
Mhm.
none of these companies own equity in Ridgeline. They just have project level partnership deals with us. Now, at the cap structure perspective on our shareholder base, we have some really great high net worth and institutional shareholders such as Paul Stevens, Rick Rule,
Mhm.
Merck Investments, Extract Capital, MJG Capital, all a mix of high net worth and funds that believe in what we're doing. They're investing in the company in the long term. And they've been great supporters all the way along as we grow the company. So, insiders and management own 10% of the company. I myself own 5.3%. I've put about $165,000 of my own capital into the company, buying stock, and also was the founder and went without a salary for almost 2 years just to get this thing up and off the ground. So I'm very committed and motivated to make Ridgeline a success.
Okay, thank you. That sounds great. I like it. And then for the beginners
Sure.
only, these huge companies, also
Sure.
Newmont, Barrick, they are paying you to find new projects and new locations for them to
Yes, it's kind of a
advance.
mix. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
that's a good summary in that think of it like if you think of for a beginner to the mining space, if you think of
Mhm.
like R&D in technology, right? Like so groups that are developing the technology to power Meta, to power AI, etc. Those groups a lot of times no one ever hears about, right? They hear about the Google, they hear about Meta, they hear about Tesla. But those companies are constantly acquiring and partnering with small companies because those are what actually are a lot of times generating a lot of the early stage excitement in the respective fields. We're kind of like one of those small companies, right? So what we do is we focus on acquiring large projects that show potentially tier one scale in various commodities, right? So whether it be gold, whether it be copper, what we're looking for is big opportunities because that's what these big companies are looking for. We do the early stage work, such as the early stage baseline geology. Maybe we do a couple phases of drilling to prove out various concepts, right? Whether it's
Yeah, okay.
from that perspective, and then we look depending on the scale of the project to either advance it ourselves if it's a material discovery, or we bring on a partner. So, and just to highlight what that looks like, when you look at this bar chart here, all of Ridgeline's investments across our three partner projects total about $9 million, highlighted in blue there. We've spent about $9 million US over about a 5 year period advancing these projects. In return, when we partnered with the respective companies, we've gotten over $60 million US in commitments to advance those projects. In the event a discovery is made and the project advances to the next stage of development and eventually building a mine, Ridgeline would own non-dilutive stakes in each of those assets. So what it allows us to do is it sees serious money being spent on our projects, and in a tough market like we've seen the last 2, 3 years, it's
Yeah,
incredibly difficult for juniors, and I think we're going to touch on that later.
yeah.
Juniors to raise money and raise, using equity as the primary way of raising capital. So what we've done is we've kind of transitioned our business model to bring in partners, make sure that serious money is being spent, and it allows Ridgeline on the back end of all of these deals to maintain material interest in the project all the way to commercial development. So, if you were to see all of these projects be executed all the way to completion, you're seeing over 500% leverage on every Ridgeline dollar spent. So I think it's a great way to call it reduce your risk while still, being able to participate in future discoveries. And we're actually starting to see significant exploration results. At our Swift project, we actually just announced the highest grade drill hole ever drilled on that project by our partners, which included up to a meter of 10 grams per ton gold. That's starting to show that this project has some serious potential, and we are really excited about the potential of where that project's going over the next, call it 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, excellent answer. Thank you. I think it was 9th of November.
Yeah, yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I would like to continue this story with your chart, the price chart, share chart, because I think every investor is looking when they try to invest into a company.
Yep.
And even though the past performance, we all know, is not an indication of the future, we tend to look, and it's okay. But what we can see in last few years, the share price went down. I think a bottom is forming now.
I'd agree with that. Yep.
And it has a good reason. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is because you still have some dilution, some financings, until you make this big discovery. And
Correct.
I made also interview with Kenorland Minerals. It's another example.
Yep.
It was similar story, and they got a re-rating after they had a success with Sumitomo, and then they kept this big royalty.
Yep.
So, am I correct with this?
Yeah. No, I think you did summarize it very well. I mean, the
So
tough
it's
thing.
normal.
Yeah, the tough thing about being a junior explorer is, one, the last 2-3 years, if you're to take, like, let's say 10 of our peers and put their chart up against ours, you're going to see a really similar trend, right? Everybody has seen a serious hit on the market cap. It's just been a tough time. Sentiment in the market's not been very supportive for junior explorers. The other issue that I think juniors like us really struggle with is, we're doing some of the highest risk and some of the most costly exploration in the early stages of going and looking for these discoveries. And I think that we actually used Kenorland's kind of business model as a good example of how we transitioned into that hybrid explorer, the exact same business model as Kenorland, in that we brought in these partners, just like Sumitomo and at the Frotet project for Kenorland. And it wasn't until Kenorland drilled the big discovery with Sumitomo backing them that, like you said, they got that re-rate. They're now worth almost $100 million, depending on the day, right? Their market cap. That's kind of where we're in that phase right now, right? We have these great deals. We're starting to see some success from those partnerships in the exploration side, but we're not quite there yet, right? And I think that's why the stock has continued to stay in this kind of range bound in this consolidation that we've seen over the last kind of year, is people are they're waiting to see that big drill hole. And once they do, I think the way that we've structured these deals will lead to a significant re-rate in the stock. But it is a bit of a waiting game, right? We're trying to minimize dilution, drill that big drill hole that's going to lead to a market re-rate. And I think at that point, you could see a significant change in our market cap, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. And I like also you mentioned that the market is tough. I remember when Trump was elected a month ago.
Yep.
I saw a few companies published excellent news. The share price didn't do anything or went down because everyone was just looking, oh, what will Trump do?
Oh yeah.
That it is now important. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and I urge people to look at your presentation further and read the news, because you have a few, as you mentioned also, you have a few of these, also good news, and also these partnerships. And so it is happening. It's
Oh
in
yeah, no,
progress.
for
It is
sure.
in progress.
Yeah.
So, what can we expect in the future? How do you go further in the next 1 or 2 years? What are your plans and vision?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So one of the things that I really like about this deal structure that we've done with these partners is the fact that we have guaranteed spending amounts that need to be spent within the various
Mhm.
initial phases of exploration as part of these deals. So just to put it in perspective, the Swift project that I just highlighted, they spent about $8 million on that project to date. They'll spend another probably close to $1 million by the end of this year. They have to spend a total of $20 million by December 31st of 2026 just to earn an initial 60% stake in the project,
Mhm.
right? Which means over the next 2 years, you can expect to see at least $5 million per year being spent on that project if you're just to kind of break it out evenly on a minimum spend. Then you look at our Black Ridge project. It's the same thing. That's a $10 million spend in the first 5 years, of which they've only spent about $500,000, right? So, sorry, 5 million spent. My apologies. So there needs to be some serious money going in the ground in 2025, including they have a minimum guaranteed spend of another $1 million by the end of next year, or else we get the project back 100%. So you start looking at all of these different deals stacked on top of each other. There's a $1.5 million spend at our Selena project by the end of next year, right? So you start stacking all these together and you go, okay, we're looking at 10, potentially up to $10 million being spent, 7 to 10 million just on our partner projects alone, non-dilutive, fully funded by our partners. It allows us to avoid diluting and issuing additional equity, which, as you said, is a tough thing in this current market. But still get to see meaningful exploration being done on our projects. On top of that, we'd like to spend about $1 million at our Big Blue project next year, drilling a maiden drill program. So you start looking at, okay, where could this project go? Well, we're looking at about 4 potential catalysts next year, all drilled by all drilled next year alone, and only one of those projects is funded by Ridgeline itself. So you're
Mhm.
seeing great leverage on every exploration dollar spent. And next year, I believe, is going to be the largest exploration budget in company history for those watching. So that's just next year. You're going to see a very similar spend in 2026 as well.
Mhm.
So I think the next 2 years are going to be very exciting for the company, and what we're looking for is that drill hole that gets us that Kenorland type re-rate for your
Um,
sure. Yeah,
okay. Good luck. I am looking forward to it.
me
Uh,
too.
okay. That's very nice. You explained it well. And with the Swift project, uh, I read about this Carlin-type gold mineralization. Does that mean that the gold is, so it's not visible by the naked eye?
Yeah,
It's very small particles, but it's still
correct.
good. So
Yeah,
the
let me show
concentration
you.
is still good.
There we go. Yeah,
Oh, you
Carlin
have
type
it.
gold.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to show you the core while, I thought that was
Just
relevant to your
quickly, I
question.
wanted to ask.
Yeah. So Carlin-type mineralization is a very specific type of gold mineralization that is unique to Nevada in particular. You usually see it in Nevada, and it's microscopic gold. It's very difficult to see. It's why this type of deposit wasn't even discovered until the the mid 1970s, because the technology wasn't there to actually process and recover the gold. So that's why
Mhm.
Nevada had such a big mining boom from about 1980 through today. Nevada itself is now one of the largest producers of gold in the world, right? Just Nevada alone. So when you zoom in and look, like this is a 10 gram per ton sample here that's outlined in red. Whoops, sorry about that. That doesn't look very exciting, does it? You look at it, black, black rock. You'd never look at that and say, hey, that's going to have high grade gold in it. So that's what we're looking for. It's a very prominent deposit type in Nevada. If you actually take a step back and we look at the Cortez district here, all of these red dots here on the map, those are deposits that are owned all by Nevada Gold Mines. Now that's roughly 50 million ounces of past production and current reserves of gold. So this makes it one of the largest gold belts in North America already. And that doesn't even count the Carlin Trend, which is about 100 miles to the northeast. The average grade of all of these mines, underground mines here in the district, are about 7 grams per ton, 7.3 grams. And we recently announced up to 2.7 meters to 7 grams at our drill project. So that's why I'm really excited about Swift. We're starting to see ore grade intercepts being drilled by our partner. They have the nearby infrastructure and the processing capability to advance the Swift project all the way from discovery through to production. And that's what's really exciting for us. There's no, if a big discovery is drilled from here, there's no questions coming from shareholders. Well, how are you going to process it? How are you going to mine it? That's all covered by our partnership with Nevada Gold Mines. So that's why I'm really excited about the project and the potential.
Okay, that's good to hear. Okay, thank you. And you mentioned the optimistic scenario, but
Sure.
would you like to add anything to it? What is your optimistic scenario?
Yeah, well, that's just one of our projects, right? Our
It's just
Black Ridge, the Black Ridge project sits right beside a 40 million ounce gold mine up in the Carlin district, Carlin Trend, again owned by Nevada Gold Mines. And our Salina project is actually a proven CRD discovery that we made in 2020. We've drilled up to 6 meters of 1,100 grams silver equivalent at the Salina project as well. So we have multiple projects being explored. My most, the optimistic scenario for us is the next 1 to 2 years generates multiple discoveries through our partnerships.
Yeah.
And it gives us the opportunity to begin monetizing these assets, right? Selling out the different deals to our respective partners or third parties and monetizing those assets and returning that cash to shareholders. That's the goal.
Okay. Thank you. And if I pay today the market cap, which is about 16 million,
Sure.
what do I get? What is not priced in yet,
Yeah,
besides
I think
the potential of?
no, that's actually a great question because I really don't believe that the value of the money that's going in the ground through our partners is accurately reflected in our market cap. So, for example, a friend of mine, he's big into following hybrid explorers, and so what he likes to do is he runs a fund, and he usually assigns about $3 million in market cap for every $1 million that is spent on a respective project by a partner, right?
Yeah.
So this year alone, we've seen $4 million US being spent on our projects, which would be a market cap hypothetically of $12 million US, right? Which is roughly equivalent to our 16 million. So this year, I'd say that, okay, we're getting roughly fair valuation for the money going in the ground, but we're getting zero value for the results that are coming out of the ground, right? We're just getting the base market valuation. So those drill intercepts at Swift, for example, those are showing that we have the potential to be the next major discovery in Nevada for a Carlin-type gold deposit. And we're getting zero value for that. Same thing goes for our own exploration projects. Our Big Blue project shows 2 potential porphyry centers. It's shallow. It's one of the highest grade past producing copper mines in Nevada. And I think we're getting zero value for that as well. So, I think that the exploration potential is certainly not being valued in the company. And I'm hoping that we deliver some drill intercepts that kind of, re-rate that and maybe get that more on people's radar in 2025.
Yeah, I think it is, of course, very difficult to say now to give a price tag for it.
Sure.
But yeah, we are talking multiples easily if you really can prove.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And what could go wrong? Just
for sure. I mean, yeah, let me count the ways exploration could go wrong. Look, it's a risky business, right? What we're going after, for what our team is going after is new tier 1 discoveries in Nevada, right? So that's risky exploration. Certainly, every one of these projects that you see on the map that are owned by us, they could fall flat, right? They could miss. It's certainly possible. What I think that we've been able to do is by bringing in these partners, we're greatly minimizing the downside risk. Just to drill this year's, the $4 million budget that was spent by our partners this year, I would have almost had to add 30-40% dilution to my market cap just to make that happen. So I've been able to completely minimize that risk by bringing on the partners. There's no guarantee that any of these projects are going to advance to development or potentially even a mine, but we've been able to minimize that risk at this stage of exploration. And I think that's a great piece. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, exploration risk is certainly the biggest concern. I've always been able to raise capital, so I wouldn't say that financing is a major risk for us. I have great shareholders, very supportive of what we're doing. We have great partners. So I can always raise the capital required to keep this moving forward for Ridgeline. But as always, it's trying to minimize dilution.
Yeah, and that's good to hear. Okay. Thank you. Now I have to look also the clock. And would you like to add something else? What else should I ask?
That's a good question. I mean, you got into it in pretty good detail. Um,
Yeah.
what I would really encourage, anyone that likes the business model, I think your kind of comparison to Kenorland in the early days is a really excellent summary of what the potential for Ridgeline could be. I'd suggest people, take a look at the Kenorland stock chart. Look at when they made their deals, when they had their discoveries, and then where their stock has gone since, and then look at where Ridgeline sits. And I think when you look at that comparison, there's a ton of upside potential for Ridgeline and its shareholders. And I would encourage anyone to come out, reach out to me directly and set up a meeting. I'd love to walk them through it. So, I think we covered the highlights of the business model and where the potential over the next few years could be. So,
yeah, I put the link below the video in the description,
okay.
and I think, yeah, you have the expertise, and these partners are trusting you for a reason. And I wish just this little bit of luck.
Yeah, that's literally it, right? Like we've got great partnerships, we've got great projects and a great jurisdiction, but you're right. There's a little bit of element of luck there, and certainly we could use a little bit, right? So one good drill hole, and I think this puts Ridgeline on a lot of different people's radar, and I think it'll be good for everyone. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for having time for us. Thank you
No,
again. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.